We are told that God is always near, and since he is near, we should draw near to him. There's never a time that God is not with us or around us in anything that we're doing. You ushers may sit. We need to always be in search of the Shekinah glory. And so, when they got finished with the cloud, after all of those years, God intentionally led them into a wilderness way in order to demonstrate to them that his presence is always with them. You should be ecstatic that God does not exempt you from your trial, but that God is with you in your trial. Yes, sir. You see, because if you are exempted from all trials and all tribulations, yes, then you will never learn what it is like to come through a trial. So God intentionally puts you in stuff that you don't want to be in and don't like. But the first rule of the Red Sea was to remember that whatever you were in, God got you there. If we can't remember the first rule, there's no way in the world we'll ever pick up number 7. God led them, Stanley, by night, by fire. A cloud of fire. God led them by the day, by a cloud of day. And at no point, this is the miracle, that each cloud ever touched each other. They never came together over that 40-year period. Watch this. The night cloud dealt with what it was supposed to do, and then, I don't know where it went, but the day cloud did what it was supposed to do. I don't know where it went, but they never bumped heads. They were always on the side doing what they were designed to do. And when it was all over, the Bible says, then a cloud, Exodus 40, covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation because the cloud abode thereon. Yes, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all of the house of Israel throughout all of their journeys. 40 years. That cloud was with them. And on the day, the book of Numbers 9:15 says, and on the day that the tabernacle was reared up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, namely the tent of the testimony, and at evening there was upon the tabernacle, as it were, the appearance of fire until the morning. They had now built the tabernacle, Sister Lynch. It had been completed. Grand and glorious was this holy place. This tent of the meeting, Israel would enter for worship and for praise, like we have just entered in there this morning. Yeah. The work of Israel's craftsmen was beautifully detailed. You know how God told them to build it. They built it with all of the specifications in place. Yes, sir. Everything that God had told them to do had been done. It had been met. the door, the lampstand, the brazen altar, the altar of incense, the table of showbread, the laver, the ark of the covenant with the mercy seat, all the furniture that God has specified and designed was now in place. There were no place like this place. And Israel had built it by sacrificing all they possessed. I like that. The people of God had brought gold, and they brought silver, and they brought brass, and they brought dyed ram skins and costly fabric, shittim wood. Y'all ought to remember that wood. That built the ark. Oil, spices, and anointing oil, what we just dealt with the children. Not to mention precious stones for the ephod of the breastplate. The best they had, they brought. Preach, Lance. Yes, sir. For building God's tabernacle, they brought the best they had. Moses' task was finished. God is not the God of the incomplete. Whatever God starts, God completes. Paul said, if he has begun a good work in you, he will see that good work completed also in you. There's nothing to stop God's work once it's begun in you. He will see it through. And that's why somebody did a song one day, God is not through with me yet. He's still working on me. I don't know about you, but you're looking at somebody who is not a finished product yet. I'm only about 75% of the way complete. Yeah, I still got a few more nails and a few more spikes and a few more patches to be dealt with. Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother. The kids down here just getting started. I talked about this morning, our life is like the weather, like the seasons. Our lives are, in the morning, we are in the summer or the springtime. Yeah, at noonday, we are in the summertime. You're about 40. 55 up to 60, you're getting along in the fall time. The leaves begin to fall. Some of your hair's done come out. You got some uppers and lowers now. I'm talking about teeth. They're yours because you bought them. Everything you got, you bought, is yours. So don't despise what you had to pay for to make you look better. You ought to thank God. You ought to put it's paid for. Walk around with a sign on yourself and say it's paid for. Everything you see is paid for. I'm preaching here. Don't be going around trying to fake it and make people think it's real, because folk know when you got to weave. Because there's a lot of beauticians and barbers in the church. Preach, Lance. So the plan was now complete. And so when the work is complete, anyone who has ever led a project from start to finish knows that the time of completion was a moment of incomparable joy for a stammering preacher by the name of Moses. You knew he stuttered, didn't you? But let's consider Moses' predicament here. Before Moses was born, Pharaoh had declared that all male Hebrew babies should die. Before Moses could be weaned from his mother's breast, he was set afloat in the Nile River, left to fend for himself, wrapped in a blanket in a basket. God arranged for him to be rescued by the daughter of the man who wanted to kill him. Ain't God good? And he made a way for Pharaoh, made a way for Moses. And he made a way. And his mother was named Jochebed, and his daddy was named Amram. And so God made it fixed so that his birth mother, who had put him in the river, would be down at the end of the river because she had milk in her breast. Preach, Lance. And so therefore, he was taken out of his little casket, so to speak, and she was chosen to wean him, his own mother weaning her own son. Preach, Lance. And while in Pharaoh's service, Moses could not forget who he was. In some midnight moment, Jochebed had taught him never to forget that no matter how far he rose in Pharaoh's house, he was still a slave. And let me say this. I should have said this to these kids, and they'll do it. Don't ever let your children forget from whence they have come. Don't you never let them forget to read stuff that she's reading about. Everybody's excited now about Cam Newton and all of that. Well, it's all right. You ought to be excited. But before Cam Newton, they told you that was somebody else. That was a Jefferson Joe, Gilliam down there across the street from Texas Church, right there at Tennessee. The first black. Can I get a witness? That was an Art Snell before there was somebody else with the Oakland Raiders, the silver and the gold. It's always been somebody who blazed a trail for somebody else. I'm here because somebody else used to be here. You're here because somebody else blazed a trail for you. You didn't make it by yourself, and you ain't gonna never get to where you're going unless somebody carries you along with it. I'm preaching. Black history is not just about reading and writing about our ancestors. It's thinking about what they had to go through in order to get you here. My life is, Langston Hughes said, ain't been no crystal stairs. I've had some rough days. And I heard Martin say before he died, we got some difficult days ahead. Yes, sir. So while in Pharaoh's service, Moses couldn't forget who he was. And in one midnight moment, Jochebed had told him never to forget how he rose in Pharaoh's house. And I heard somebody, preacher, say one thing, I think it might have been my son, said, she grabbed him and put him on her breast, and very softly, you are a Hebrew slave. You really don't belong here. She ain't your real mother. I'm your real mother, but you can't never say anything about that. And through the process of what we call osmosis, I love that. That's something happening to you, and you're not even aware it's happening to you. In other words, he's being conditioned, not even knowing what she's talking about. But when the time came for him to reveal what was going on, it came to him in his apperceptive mass. Everything that you hear is in you. The problem is recall. Everything that you have been taught is still in you. It's in your apperceptive mass. And at some point, you'll be riding along or walking along, and something will come to you, and you say, where'd that come from? Well, it was already there from a long time ago. I've had people that come to me and say, Reverend, am I psychic? Did I dream this or something like that? I said, no, you're not. It's already in you. And somewhere you heard it. I don't know where it was. You know, you can be sleeping in the house and somebody come in drunk and cussing, and you're kind of like in a not real deep sleep, and you'll learn some words that you didn't know. Lady came up to me the other day and asked me how can she stop her son from cussing. And I said, I don't know. I said, well, where's he getting the cussing from? I have no idea. I have no idea where he's getting that from. 3 years old. He ain't in school. The people of Israel did not want to enter the promised land because they were afraid of what lay ahead. Because of their disobedience and lack of trust, God let them wander in the desert. They murmured, they complained, and wanted to go back to Egypt where the food tasted better. And when Moses woke up to pray, his so-called followers woke up to play. Preach, Lance. They did not know why they had to follow this wandering nomad of a preacher, the Reverend Dr. Bishop Pastor Moses. In the midst of it all, Moses told the people that God had given him a vision for building a portable place of worship. He said that God had told him, speak to the children that they go forward and tell them to bring me an offering and let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Let me say this to you. Don't ever run around. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, talking about I can worship God at home. Yes, you can, but God never promised to come to your house. God never promised to come to my house, but God did promise to come to his house. And if you want to meet God, you ought not be taking chances to meet him at your house. But God said, I will meet you in my house. That's why we assemble together on the Lord's Day in his house. And he promised to meet us here. Preach, Lance. When you understand that all that Moses and the Israelites had to go through to get to this place, perhaps you will then grasp the significance of the moment that found them putting the finishing touches on the work. The tabernacle that God had instructed them to build was now complete, and I say nearly complete, because while it was complete in its physical dimensions, it was not yet complete in its spiritual dimensions. The instruction was to build the tabernacle so that God could dwell there. Preach, Lynch. And we need to be envisioning and visualizing right now his presence. He's in here, y'all. I can't see him, but I feel him. We can never see him, but we can see the manifestation of his work all around us every day. And there's never a day or a moment that God is not with you. And so therefore, that should encourage you to go on and do what you're doing. A church is not a church until God decides that it will become a place of divine visitation. We're trying to do an extension, capital campaign, all that, but that means nothing. We can do the brick and the mortar. We can do all of the doors and all of that physical stuff, but it will never be what it's supposed to be until there is divine visitation. Until God comes in the house, then it's not a house of God. I used to hear people say, come on over here, Holy Ghost headquarters. And all they had going on was a bunch of noise. They came in the door shouting. They shouted all the way through the service. They didn't even pay any attention to the bulletin. They just shouted all the way. And if you were a visitor sitting up there and the thing said it's supposed to happen here next, they ain't worried about that. They forget all about that. They get so Holy Ghost inspired that they dance all through the night and dance all through the day and spit all through the night and spit all through the day and talk in tongues through the night. You got 2 or 3 in this corner trying to teach somebody how to talk in tongue, and then time you got to be taught how to talk in tongue, you ain't talking in tongue, because the Bible said the Lord gives the tongue as the Spirit gives utterance. You got to go to a class to learn how to speak in tongue. It ain't real. Church is not a church. Every building that's ever been built, you cannot enter that building until you get a certificate of occupancy. You can build a house and it'll cost $1 million, but you can't live in it until the city and the county, somebody has to come by and certify that it's fit for habitation. You got to get a document. I don't care how much money you spend. You can't get in it until somebody certifies that it's worthy of habitation. The building may be one of architectural splendor and exquisite design, but it is not a church until God issues a certificate of divine occupancy. And when God issues a certificate of divine occupancy, that means he has taken up residency there and it's safe to come in. That's why I feel good when I come here on Sunday morning, because I know God is in the house. When I get to White Castle, I already feel his presence. When I cross Vine Street and turn in the parking lot, I know God is in the house because I feel him in the parking lot. When I put into my space, I said, Lord, have mercy. I've seen folk who pull up in my space, no good, dirty rascals. Got a sign out there on it said, reserved for the pastor. But you think you're so big that you can just do what you want to do. And it ain't that I'm somebody. It's the point is that you think you're somebody. That's what it is. It ain't about me. It's about you. You think you all that. And you can do what you want to do. I've seen them put up in my space, and God's got that space divinely occupied for me. And when you pull that little raggedy car you got up in there, that car starts smoking and sputting and doing all kind of crazy stuff. You got to call the wrecker to get out of there. Can I get a witness here? I'm messing with you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Let me hurry on. And then, here's what happened after the tabernacle was complete. Exodus 40 and 34 says, then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Then, after everything was completed, then, when the assigned task had reached its fulfillment, then, when God's instructions had been meticulously followed, then the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. The glory of the Lord is important in this text. This is the most important phrase here, Brother Cliff Raw. It's not just any glory. It is the glory. Everybody say the glory. Everybody say Shekinah glory. The word Shekinah glory is distinguished from any other kind of glory. This is the learning part of the sermon. Can I get a witness here? The word Shekinah comes from a biblical concept that describes the presence of Yahweh in a certain location. Shekinah was derived from the word shaken and is used to describe the abiding, dwelling, or habitation of the physical manifestation of God in the time-space continuum. Preach, Lynch. I'm going to break it down. The word misshapen is a derivative of shaken and is the Hebrew word for tabernacle. Everybody say tabernacle. misshapen, therefore means dwelling place or dwelling place of him who dwells. Preach, Lance. In other words, the local address of God of the cosmos is Shekinah. Wherever God is the Shekinah. Let's look at it another way. The Hebrew word for shaken simply means to take up residence in a neighborhood for a long period of time. When God is shaken, it means that he's dwelling long term in the midst of a neighborhood or a group of people. That's why you come here time and time and time again, because you want to be involved with the shaking. Because the shaking, say it again, Damon, is a place where you come time and time again. And it's a place where you dwell in the midst of a neighborhood or people time and time again. Let's examine the concept further. Shekinah is defined as the divine presence. The cloud represented the presence of God. I keep telling you, God is always with you. Listen, the numinous immanence of God in the world, a revelation of the holy in the midst of the profane. All of us are profane people. We don't always do it right. We're not Colonel Sanders people. We don't do it God right. You're missing that one. The Shekinah, which is in its physical dimension, consisted of cloud and fire. Pillar of cloud, pillar of fire. The Shekinah is fire and cloud. So whenever you're in here, you're always under the protection of the cloud by day and the fire by night. When you leave here, whether it's daytime or nighttime, that same protection follows you outside these doors and goes wherever you're going. It's called the Shekinah glory. It's a glory that is always there. That's why I feel safe no matter where I am. And no matter how frightened I am, I still feel safe. I'm frightened because of what might get ready to happen to me, but I'm safe because I know whatever it is, I'm going to be all right. Even if I'm dead, I'm all right. Because the Bible says, absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And when I die, if I go straight to heaven, that's cool with me. You see, before I go to Ham Jameson, before I go to Gwen Mooney, before I go to Jordan, before I go to Walker, I'm already gone to Jesus. See, that's what y'all doing back here, trying to figure out where to go to Walker and trying to figure out where to go to Jordan. That's what you do back here, but I'm already gone to Jesus. And you're already gone to Jesus. Can I get a witness here? You ought to give God some praise for that. Because once the breath leaves your body, you're already gone. I'm preaching here. Oh, hallelujah. The Shekinah glory was then a physical manifestation of God's presence among. The Shekinah was not God. It was the instrument to enable us to know and experience God. Therefore, when Moses asked to see the glory of God, he was shown the Shekinah. You remember Moses said, "Let me see you"? God said, "All right, get in that rock. Get in the cleft of the rock. And I'm going to hide you in the cleft of the rock, and I'm going to pass by you and show you my Shekinah. No man can see my face and live. I'll show you my Shekinah glory that is always following me." Preach, Lynch. When prophets saw God in human form in their visions, they did not see God himself. Rather, they saw the Shekinah. When the children of Israel set out from Sukkot in their escape from Egypt, a cloudy pillar led them by day and a fiery pillar led them by night. That was the Shekinah. The book of Exodus says that when the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea, God looked down from a pillar of fire and a cloud at the Egyptians' army and threw them into confusion. They thought they were crazy. He made the wheels of their chariots come off. They had difficulty driving. That was the Shekinah. Just like I said, when you put in my parking space, you might not ever be able to turn your steering wheel again. Because that's my space. That's the Shekinah. During the 40 years in the wilderness, the children, the Shekinah glory went before them and just rested above them. And do you know what? Let me say this about this. Over there at 121 Newbie Lane, and I don't know what your address is, but you need to envision your address right now. And you ought to say, hey, what's happening in my house now? I can tell you exactly what's happening at your house. You're not there, but there's a cloud hovering over your house while you're gone. And at night, there's another cloud of fire hovering over your house while you're not home. The presence of God, wherever you go, is with you. Reverend, I can't even conceive of that. Don't even try. Just envision it. Just visualize it. Priest Lynch. Now that the tabernacle, and I'm getting ready to quit, was finished, now that the assignment had been fulfilled and God's instructions had been meticulously followed and God's name calling, and the Bible says that the glory of the Lord, Shekinah glory, and what did it do? It filled the tabernacle. And as I go to my seat, some people think that it is peculiar that the church is following a cloud. They think that the church should be dealing with substantive, critical issues rather than following a cloud. They accuse the church of being irrelevant and having their heads in the clouds. They accuse the church of trying to go to heaven out there when folks are starving in the street and don't have any food to eat. And they're in the pews and following a cloud in this day and age appears very impractical, Reverend Lynch, unrealistic, Reverend Lynch, and irrelevant, Reverend Lynch. With the issues such as poverty and pain confronting us within a pathless and dangerous wilderness that we're living in, it seems insane, Reverend Lynch, that the church should follow a cloud. When the wars and rumors of wars are upon us, when we live day by day under a threat of biological warfare and nuclear destruction, why is the church following a cloud? I'm glad you asked me these questions. The truth of the matter is this, that the church does not follow a cloud. The church follows the one who caused the cloud to form. That's who the church is following. Not the cloud, but we're following the one who formed the cloud. The church is not fixated on fire. The church is caught up in the one who put the heat in the fire. The cloud and the fire confirm that we are not alone. That's all I've been saying for the last 40 minutes. The cloud and the fire confirms that we're not by ourselves. What are you scared of? Where is your faith? The cloud reveals that in the daytime you can look up and find assurance in God's presence. The fire reveals that in the nighttime, when it gets dark and cold, you can't see your way, God's presence will always be with you. That's why I walk in the shadow and the death, and I fear no evil, for thou art with me. thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I ain't scared. You know, it's been a long time since I called somebody and said, hey, man, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. I don't know where to go. It's been a long time. And see, this is the problem with me and now with you, because I've been doing this so long and been at it so long, and I got so much experience with it. I'm now living on experience of what has been, and now I know what got me through it is still getting me through it, and will continue to get me through it. You see, that's what I got over you. You have not gotten to that point yet. And when I say you, I'm talking about the generic you. I'm talking about the ones who are watching me on TV. I'm talking about the ones who are listening to me now on the radio. I'm not talking about all of you, because I know you got it together. But just in case you don't, you don't have to raise your hand. Just in case you still have moments of anxiety and fear and not sure of what the next day is going to be like, and whether you can still make it, or do you always go to pieces at every little thing that happens to you. Just in case you're here, I share with you that cloud of day and that cloud of night is your assurance that God is present with you. That is rule number 7 of the Red Sea crisis. Whenever there's a crisis in your life, just think about it. Yes, I'm in search for the Shekinah glory today. I've seen a lot of churches, but I'm searching for a church that is marked by the Shekinah glory. I've been in churches that are architecturally beautiful. I've been to the Notre Dame. I've been to Notre Dame over there. I've been into St. Paul's in London. I've been to where the Pope lives 3 times. I mean, been to every major church in the world. I've been to it. Been to the world's largest mosque over in Istanbul, Turkey. Been everywhere, and I've seen wonderful things. But I'm searching for a church that has the Shekinah glory in it. I want the glory, the real thing. I'm not looking for outside features. I'm looking for the real thing. And I found it when I found Jesus. And he's been leading me and guiding me, rear guard and left guard. He's my back and he's my forward. And when I see him, I feel so much better. And I can go on and just cry out, just bathe me in your glory. Bathe me in your Shekinah. Just, Lord, let me continue to see the effects of your presence in my life. And when something happens to you, you should say right away, that was God. That was nobody but God. And you should start shouting right in your feet and just say, God, thank you for showing up when I didn't think nobody was around. Thank you for showing up when I didn't understand where my help was coming from. Thank you for showing up when I least expected it. Thank you for showing up in the midst of a storm that I was going. Thank you for showing up. You might not come when I want you, but thank you for showing up just in the nick of time. As we quit, rule number 7. Sister Lynch would do 8, but rule number 7 is one of my favorite ones, because as long as I know I got the presence of God all around me, nothing will be able to turn me around. And, with this vision, I want you to stand on your feet right where you are, and there's somebody here that you sometimes don't understand the presence of God in your life. You come down here now, give me your hand, and sit in one of these chairs, and we can let you know through the process of receiving the Shekinah glory, God can make everything all right in your life. If you're here, why don't you come down right now? Some of the preachers are going to come down in the aisle and they'll help you come down. Don't be afraid to receive the glory today. The glory is in it. Somebody's coming. Somebody else is coming. Somebody else is coming. Don't be afraid. Come on down right now. The glory is in this house. The glory is in this place. Come down right now.